You are part of the first orange boomerang. All of you are very different types of leaders. You are very brave and ambitious and very visionary. You are a teacher. You love to teach. You are a student and a teacher, and you are actually kind of everything. You are student, teacher, influencer,
Author.
Arthur.
so I'd like to find out first, how did you all start your journey as digital leaders?
I don't know if I'm the oldest among the winners. I am not. Oh, anyway. I'm saying that because that I began in legacy. I've always been agency all my life. I was in basic advertising. And I began at the time when there was no digital, when everything was analog, when we were doing, FAs by hand and photocopying photo pictures and using bromides and positives and things like that. So, but I'm still here in the industry, and I had no choice really but to transform. When we were acquired by Hakuhodo, we were taught many hard skills stuff that we needed to understand very quickly, super quickly, and all I knew was to call Pichi and say, "Can you help us?" At the time, I didn't really know that she was the perfect person to call, because I was just really wondering how do we level up people, how do we make people ready for the new stuff? Because I wasn't even ready. So that was the journey, and then so we started. I started studying, and you mentioned that I am a student and a teacher, but I think foremost a student and forever going to be a student. That's how that started.
How about you, Art?
Yes. On my end, it more or less started by way back in college. So I had the chance to work with a company, and we partnered with an international company, mostly from the US. And I realized how big the gap is at that time. So what I realized is maybe there's a way for us to pull the Filipinos upwards, and it starts with technical skills. That's one important aspect. And what I realized is over the past few years, technology isn't really supposed to be just technology. It should be applied in a pragmatic way. So on my end, my goal has always been to find a way for organizations to go from point A to point B without spending too much money, because it's a puzzle. Some teams would have 20 to 30 man teams and spend a lot of money just to, let's say, build systems, automate processes. And I always wanted to solve that challenge. And the past 3 to 4 years, the pandemic is actually the greatest enabler for digital transformation. And we took that head on. And the tech team, especially in my organization, we had multiple goals. One was to have client projects, external projects, and at the same time, allocate resources for internal projects, which would help with the digital transformation of the organization. And luckily, we were able to solve that, and we were able to help the business. So again, in short, technology wasn't really just for technology's sake, but rather we're there to support the business and the overall transformation.
I was actually Cynthia, research analyst. I started knocking on doors. Hi, ma'am, sir. I have a survey which is 2 hours long. Do you have time for me? Then they would give us tokens and all. Then I realized I wanted the action to it, because I started with data and I wanted to apply the data to understand consumers better. Then I landed a media buyer, media planner role. And then I said, ooh, Facebook. Ooh, Yahoo. Oh, Yahoo. There was Yahoo during the time, no? It was huge during the time. And I realized when I was dealing with a lot of above-the-line media, I told myself, I think there's something more. And I owe it really to 2 major things in my experience. I'm really thankful to the clients I've handled before, both locally and internationally, because they really gave us the hardest questions, and that transformation is a bit more natural because your clients are with you. That means a lot to me, because transformation begins, yes, with yourself, but you need your clients and your colleagues to support you through that journey, whether it's super slow and super hard. And secondly, I think what's really unique about also what I have personally experienced, we owe it to a lot of the happenings, and especially a lot to our mentors who really traveled to the Philippines to share the knowledge. It was a very good time, like 2017, 2018. They really traveled to share learnings, and they really shared a lot of frameworks that were quite helpful. Kaya transformation for me really takes literally a village, clients included. That's why I'm quite thankful with that kind of transformation. The harder the questions, the more beautiful the transformation for me.
Actually, I feel like I'm the least technically proficient within this group, and now that there's an actual author in machine learning, imposter syndrome is because I wouldn't really consider myself like a digital transformation leader the way I think. So the rest of the folks here are, I started off in, as you put it, Jem, a legacy company as well at PNG, right? So that's as classic an FMCG marketing company as you can get. And I really, really enjoyed it. But I happened to be part of this generation of PNGers where we were at this crossroads of what we were used to with everything tri-media, everything you could, test several times before you go to market to, wait a minute, like, at an exponential rate, like eyeballs were shifting to Facebook and YouTube. And I started finding myself, quite frankly, envious of other brands that were, maybe it was in their DNA or just happened to be they were speaking or engaging with the kind of customer bases that enabled them to be, or mandated that they would be on the cutting edge of marketing, which at the time, obviously, and I guess it continues to be, it's very digitally driven.
I know, PT, that you were a juror at the Orange Boomerangs, but you yourself a bit tripped. Why the transformation? Because at one point we were both copywriters.
Yes. To answer the question, who's the eldest one? I am the eldest in this group. Okay, I'm actually very proud of it because I'm a cusper, a boomer ex-cusper. So I have the values of the boomers and the Gen X. But what I find most thrilling is having the privilege to see the evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
It's exciting, horrible, and anxiety inducing. But it made you feel your humanness to see the world evolve so fast. Made you question a lot of things. Thank you for bringing up the point on us being copywriters before. And yes, we were in legacy agencies. I think my last task at the agency I was with was the digital transformation of the agency. And that was in 2012, 2011. I don't remember now. A long time ago. That's
One decade.
yeah.
More than.
But then you receive instructions from the globe, right? It says, Monday, transform the agency. And I don't know if you guys experienced this, but that mandate meant people were fighting for revenue. Someone would say, what gives you the right to do Facebook advertising? I mean, Facebook, advertising. We're digital. We're supposed to be doing Facebook. Advertising shouldn't be doing Facebook. And I would remember in a very heated man-com meeting, me saying, I resent the fact that you think we cannot evolve. I resent the fact that you are forbidding us to do digital work. And I think the CEO at that time had to go down for a smoke because it was getting too dense in that room. But I think looking back, I just had to do what I was told to do. I really didn't know the impact it had on people, society. Well, not all, not that early. Remember, Facebook was 2007, 2006. So, but I think what really made me appreciate the digital transformation was when I left advertising and I was tasked to write curricula for a school of multimedia arts. So I Googled, what is the future of multimedia arts? By the way, that used to be my favorite search phrase. What is the future of? And I went down a rabbit hole, as you said earlier, and I saw that 80% of jobs are yet to be invented, and that stressed me. Said, how can I write curricula for a world where we don't know what jobs we're preparing students for?
Yeah.
And at the core of this shift was really because we have entered the age of digital, where all bets are off, kind of. And that was when I appreciated digital transformation.
The day you decided, I'm going to go down this path, were you encouraged by other people, or was this a decision you made on your own after evaluating everything that was happening around?
For me, certainly it was something that I was just personally motivated to be a part of. I remember when I told some more senior people in PNG, oh, I'm leaving, it's a company I'm joining, it's called Airbnb. And back then it was like, what the F is Airbnb? Why are you throwing away your career, in a very, very well-respected company for something that you've never heard of or could possibly ruin? But I personally just had a notion that there's a certain amount of change that I always want to be a part of. Maybe they're stuck. But now I find myself, I feel like what I'm doing now or what I might be doing in the future isn't so much like leading, like taking a legacy company and making it like more digital. Because when I joined what was back then Paymaya, it was certainly not what anyone would consider a legacy company. In fact, it would have the tech stack, marketing stack, but I think a lot of other companies feel like, I wish I could just get that from you right now because it's all set up, right? But actually I felt like my role that was to take a very digitally enabled organization, but then maybe was too focused on the tactics, too focused on the actual tech, but not so much the marketing fundamentals, for which really, digital is just one component of execution, at least from a marketing standpoint, that should enable it. And I consider myself very fortunate, that when I had my first one-on-one with my boss, he was just like, look, let's not waste a fresh pair of eyes. Nothing is sacred. Do what it takes to transform this into a world-class marketing organization. So in that regard, we were very aligned. I wouldn't settle for anything less, at least from a hunger for change standpoint, and I'm very grateful that I'm enabled for that within management. So I guess in my case so far, it's I'm always driven by it, and what I realized is it's really important to find leadership that's really aligned with you on that as well.
On my end, my experience when it comes to digital leadership and transformation, I realized that it all started back when I was part of a startup like umbrella. And there, our task was to build systems first and then help different teams like finance, marketing. And that's before I joined an Australian-owned agency. So there, I realized that the things I learned in the startups were all applicable to agencies before I joined NewWorks. And I realized also that all organizations want to evolve from point A to point B. They want to be more, they want to become more efficient, more effective, and they want to solve real problems, real requirements. And when I joined NewWorks, I was able to utilize everything I learned the past 10 plus years. And the only thing that's different is there's less resource. Once you have less resources, you become more creative as individuals.
Yes.
And you become more realistic and more pragmatic as everything's not a tech problem. Tech will only be like 20 to 30% or 40% of it. It's just an enabler. And the rest would be people, process, and of course, positioning and the overall game plan of the organization.
Being part of a network like that and being a Filipino at that is just it's a good thing. Being noticed, because we're in like 20 countries and you're just one little country in that whole thing. Yeah, and teaching people the mindset. They said that if you consider digital to be a medium, just a medium or a channel, then you don't know digital. So digital is a mindset, digital is a culture, digital is people, and understanding how digital empowers people to do good things in the world is just the most exciting thing, I think.
And I will borrow Barack Obama's words. And he said, we are afflicted with, not the Philippines, generally people are afflicted with poverty of ambition. Ambition seems like a dirty word in some quarters, like, you're so ambitious, you know?
Yeah, especially here in the Philippines.
Yes, so, but no, even when I was in a university, I said, you have to want more. You have to have bigger ambitions for your students. I remember getting angsty because they were saying the students, they think in templates. And then I see through the process, the faculty actually gives students templates to fill up. And I was like, hey, why do you accuse them of thinking in templates when you give them templates to fill up? And I think I said, if these students graduate without the ability to imagine, I will put you at fault. You and Square you at fault if they can't imagine because they're thinking in templates.
What has really helped me was CMO was accountable to an Airbnb, and he's tremendously aspirational. And he would say this thing consistently that I told myself, when I'm in that position, it's my responsibility to say the same thing. He talked about a poverty of ambition, right? He would say, it's my job to enable everyone here to deliver the best work of their careers. Like a lot of Filipino talent in this industry sadly thrives in other countries way more than here is because that they set a much more ambitious agenda, right? But if they feel, you know what, like, no, actually I can achieve my ambitions here, I can be strategically, creatively, personally, career-wise fulfilled here because I'm doing the best work of my careers, then I'm gonna stay. I have to remind everyone, when we started working together, or in fact, when we hired some of the people, in our organization, never did I promise anywhere that this would be an easy place to work at. But my promise is it'll be best work of our careers, right? That you can hold me accountable.
As transformational leaders, we also need to be responsible in teaching the people. We owe it to them. So it really circles back to the people we work with. That's why when I go back to the question of how did you end up here? And now I ask myself, how did I become a teacher? I actually have no idea. If you remember, there was this year between 2012 to 2015 that was the height of not ever finding the right person. for the job. I remember I experienced having to hire nurses, right, who wanted to have a digital transformation in life. I remember taking a risk of somebody who taught elementary students, right? Because that was like major scarcity of manpower during those years. So you also had to take a gamble that you're gonna hold his hands, hold her hands, and really go through a transformational career in digital. Some were successful, some were not, but it is inevitable for me, not just for me, but I believe the true leaders really have to be ready to teach. Or else it's something that, yes, you become so ambitious and all, but you also need to realize that to have that right milestones and get to the goal, everybody needs to be with you and you need to give back. I have a question though. Hindi ko naman nila lahat, no? There are some people who actually think transformation equals money. I mean, we can't blame them from a business standpoint. When a business transforms, it gets more relevant, it achieves more, etc. Then therefore more money. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, is it business? Is it transformation equals what? Because for me, now that I evaluate my own personal journey, and I hope my co-panelists will also share their personal journeys through the North Star being peso sign or US dollar sign, for me, it's working through a long term of a solidified culture that you went through a certain era of hardships. That's why even if you go separate ways, you will always go back to each other, whether as a mentor, as a friend, as a ninong, or sometimes as a super, super barkada already.
You brought up North Star, but you didn't quite say what it was.
I think it's very similar to the lifelong, the relationships. But I think, or I put that two and two together by saying my North Star would be forever empowering people on a continuing basis, because as I said, things will never be fixed. The environment, the world will never sit in one place.
It's the ultimate objective of this of digital transformation. Money. Digital transformation is a Trojan horse for business transformation.
That's one of the reasons why I am in, yes, marketing practitioner, but in this industry, because I genuinely feel that, and I think we all know this, the reality is money just gets to dictate the kind of choices and opportunities you have in life. And, the more options you have with your money, then the more options you have with what you get to do with your life. And I think that's really at the core of any developing country.
If our audience were to ask you, what are the other kinds of mindsets that will be crucial for them to grow and transform in the next few years?
My answer's also been standard, the gift of lenses. So having a mindset of you looking at one thing, not just one thing with horse blinders, right? Look at one thing with different lenses, through different lenses. Being able to understand, if you do that, you're able to understand what people need, what people want, how to grow, how to solve a problem, not just with one technology or with one thing. It's lenses. It's really understanding the world through different views.
In addition to that, critical thinking and the ability to listen. So when I say listen, sometimes when we try to, let's say, change something, we usually listen to what's being said. But in order for us to really solve challenges, sometimes we need to listen to the words which were never said.
We're so busy, If we look at our calendars, I just have to say, I don't know how we do it sometimes. 30-minute block, 15-minute block, then you eat for 35 minutes, then you get into another call. My next big piece would really about making time. Maybe I'll give a couple of concrete examples. First example would be, you know how the young ones are today, and I have a bit of my own share because I teach college students. They think differently. They have their own grading system. Even if you cascade your curriculum, they would grade themselves differently. And they have a different way of communicating with you. And sometimes they don't really tell you everything at all. And a lot of times they tell you the exact opposite. They really do. And making time also means just really letting go if you truly care. Just sitting down, making time to have a dialogue. That's also part of the time KPI. I'd say that for me as a leader, it's a KPI I put on myself. If I can't make time for my teammates, for the people I really, really value, who am I? Who am I? I know that clients are important, partners are important, but even more important would be the people who bring purpose to who you are, because you've been given that such a big responsibility to be a leader, right? Such a big responsibility, and you are nobody with your team.
The golden rule I've learned to keep coming back to is that it's more important to be effective than to be right. I think when I was younger, especially, and I think, if you feel like you have the book smarts, you get it, or like even then, you're brought in with a certain mandate, and it's like, yeah, here's a problem, here's kind of a solution on paper, like it should be easy, right? But there's a lot of human beings involved, and human beings are anything but easy.
I heard the several lenses. That's curiosity. Don't be satisfied in one point of view. I heard empathy and to some degree collaboration. And I heard humility and vulnerability. That's what I heard. Did you know that what Kim just shared are actually, there's a term for it, and they're called meta skills. And meta skills are transcendent skills. They're the skills that last forever.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that we,